لا تريهم في معانك ارتياح اعصب
You're listening to Your World Today on Radio Islam International. This afternoon, we talk about a group of individuals, organizations that are coming together. And the purpose for this is the removal of USA from permanent UN member or revoking the veto rights of the United States of America. So for this, we're joined by our guest, Hafiz Muhammad Zaid, and he's from the Righteous Hands Foundation. Hafiz Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Shukran jazilan for joining us. So we appreciate your time. Hafiz Muhammad, perhaps you could begin by elaborating on the specific violations or instances where the US has disregarded UN regulation, providing the grounds for invoking Article 6.
Definitely. If we were to look into past earlier years rather, we would come across many instances in which the United States, if we are referring to the current ongoing crisis in Gaza, in Palestine, in the conflict with the State of Israel, we will see that in past years, more than half of United States usage of vetoes was in favor of Israel. During the Lebanon-Israel war, during the Gaza-Israel war, in each and every one of these instances, US has practiced their vetoes in order not to allow for ceasefires to be implemented and not to allow for aid to enter into certain areas. We'd also come to see that during the South African apartheid area, the United States of America, along with the State of Israel, were the main supporters and backers of the South African apartheid regime. And during the United Nations summits, within records of the United Nations Security Council, once again, we are able to see that throughout the summits, USA was one of these forefront members calling for vetoes against ceasefires and against all sanctions or actions to be done against the apartheid regime of South Africa. Now, if we were to look at a more firm foundation or more straightforward accusations, or rather information which give us grounds to stand upon this call for the reformation under Article 6, we come to see of one of the instances many years back during the Guatemala incident with the United States of America. We come to see that during this course of events, they actually went against the Geneva Conventions, and with many other such instances which come into play throughout the years. We cannot make mention of all of them at the moment due to our shortage of time. However, it is also important to notice that on the UN Charter, Article 24, it states something to the effect, paraphrasing a bit due to lack of time, that it is responsibility upon the UNSC members to do all they can in an effort to ensure peace and international security for all citizens of the world. And when we come to see these vetoes of ceasefires being implemented and used by the United States of America, this is in clear violation of Article 24, as they have no regard whatsoever for human life, especially that of the Palestinians in current times, and in the past that of the South African, the native South Africans rather. We also come to see that with the recent ICC arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Rob Gallant as war criminals. Of course, the USA, they are not obliged to follow the ICC's arrest warrants due to not being signatories of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. They are not obligated to fulfill the requests of the ICC. But for America as being deemed and self-praised as a nation which is on the forefront of carrying humanity and fighting for justice, etc., with all those sugar-coated words, it is quite hypocritical and quite astonishing for a nation which would consider themselves on the forefront of fighting for human dignity to be the one nation which is standing against the rights of life and the right of return to land and the right of, or for the call of ceasefires. It's quite astonishing to see how this comes into play. And with all this being considered, this is amongst many others, the foundation and the ground upon which we have decided to follow with the Article 6 of the UN Charter.
Yes, certainly, lots of evidence for what is being called towards. Obviously, the need is now to be able to galvanize the support for this. And that is why the question then is that why is unity amongst global organizations, governments, and people so integral to the success of this campaign? And how can different entities contribute effectively?
Definitely. Could you please just repeat that question so I can note it down to ensure I don't stray from the question in any way?
Yes, so why is unity amongst global organizations, governments, and people so integral to the success of this campaign?
Okay. Uh, if you were to look at it from an Islamic point of view, in past years, throughout the history of Islam, we've come to see that any movement which is taken militarily or whatever front is brought up against any kind of a regime or any nation, whatever it was in the past, it always functioned under a banner or under a single call in which everyone united under Khilafah, of course. And this is how we come to see that only through unity is our objectives achieved. If we look at any movements or any kind of objections to anything which were taken without unity and individually, there's hardly really any impact or any success of any of these movements. And due to this, it is extremely important and integral for unity to come into play here, as throughout the duration of this year, throughout the entire world, there has been campaigns against, for example, Israel. There's been campaigns against them for many, many years of the oppression against the Palestinians and the occupation of their territory. But only in recent times have we seen unity actually coming together and people throughout the world standing together saying that, no, this is wrong and we want a solution to this. And we had countries even coming forward, starting with South Africa, followed by many other countries supporting them in the ICC case against Israel. And through this unity is the first time that we've seen any action being taken against Israel. So by pointing all of this out, it shows us the importance and the role in which unity plays in bringing any kind of difference or change.
Yes, certainly. So, in terms of now taking this forward, what alternative models or restructuring of the UN veto system do you propose?
Within our document, which we forwarded to organizations to join the cause and also to broadcasting networks such as yourself to secure these interviews, within that document, there are, I wouldn't say all of them, but there are few of the options which we have considered thus far. One of them being the revoking of the veto rights of the USA or expulsion of the USA from the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. Another being the removal of veto rights for all permanent members or complete dissolving of the permanent members of the United Nations. There could also be a restructuring or reforming of the policies of the vetoes, whereby permanent members could only make usage of their vetoes if it is directly linked to their country's interests and international relations, or whereby perhaps there would be more accountability and publicity for their vetoes, whereby they'd be required to provide explanations as to why they have decided or chosen to veto a certain issue, whatever it may be that they veto within the UNSC, and that this information is made public or available to the public rather, and to media outlets to discuss this and to compare this and elaborate further on this issue. That is a few, I would say, of our reformations or calls rather that we've made within this document. To mention a few, as we've said before, time is quite short for this interview.
Yes, certainly. We obviously need to take the discussion further. We've run out of time for this afternoon. We appreciate, the initiative that has been taken by yourself and those at the Righteous Hands Foundation. May Allah bring this entire initiative to fruition and may it have the desired effect, which obviously would benefit our brothers in Palestine. Barakallah feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وإياكم وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته ومغفرة.
That was Hafiz Muhammad Zaid Rodger speaking to us on behalf of the